Hello, everybody, and good morning. I'm Jackson Easley, alongside me, Chad Russo, coming to you live from Dunning Stadium for today's matchup between Radnor and New Canaan. Chad, Radnor is loaded with talent on the offensive end. Talk to me a little bit about what they're going to be looking like today.
Yeah, so the main guy today for this Radnor team is Ryan Goldston. He's number 32 on Radnor. He's a Cornell commit. He's just been able to put goals in this season. I think he's in double digit goal range so far through 6 games, which is I think that's expected out of a Cornell commit, but he's definitely a really good player.
And Radnor traveled all the way from right outside of Philadelphia for this game. Definitely made quite the long trip. They're 4-2 in the season, coming off of a narrow 9-7 win against Academy New Church. And they're definitely a very talented team, Chad. Now we're going to send it down to Perrin on the sideline to talk a little bit more about Radnor's prep for this game.
Thanks, boys. The Radnor team came down all the way from their hometown to practice on the New Canaan home turf yesterday for 2 hours, but that didn't stop the New Canaan boys from taking back their home turf, and they practiced in the morning for 3 hours, then had a lunch break and came back again for another 2 hours and watched film. They're ready for this game. Radnor's ready for this game. I can't wait to watch it. Back to you boys up in the booth.
Now, Chad, we talked about how talented Radnor is on the offensive end. What can New Canaan's defense do today to shut Radnor down?
Well, I think the focus of this defense today is going to be Barrett Schmitz. He's been a really good defensive middie, and so Barrett Schmitz, he's a commit for football. Not sure why we're running the Conley highlights here on the attack, but we're talking about defense right now, and the keys for this defense is Barrett Schmitz. He's been the lifeblood of the defense so far this year. He's been great at getting ground balls, and I think he's definitely a key for this team today.
Definitely, Chad. Barrett Schmitz, obviously a major player on the Rams' defense. And on the offensive end, the Rams have been looking to Doster Kroll all season. He had 4 goals in their first game against Mamaroneck, a hat trick in their second game against Ludlow, and 2 goals in their last game against Glastonbury. He's a real scorer. But they also have some extra players who can supplement his production, and we're looking at Ryan Connolly and Carter Connors, who are 2 excellent players. What do you see in them, Chad?
Yeah, so Ryan Conley, he's definitely very good at cutting to the net and getting goals that way. He's not your traditional dodger, even though we see him dodge here. He's not the fastest guy on the field. He's not the most athletic, but he always positions himself in the right way. He reminds me of the guy that wore his number last year, number 9, Callum Wood. And he's definitely really been able to pick up that role, and the Rams have been able to look for him. He's been able to consistently put up at least like a goal per game, which might not be large numbers, but it's definitely helpful. And then Carter Connors, he is the spark plug. He's your dodger. He's a guy that can make multiple moves, make guys miss like he did right there. And then he sets up his dodges so perfectly. He can beat double teams. He's just fast. What he does, he's like having a shifty running back in the backfield, like a Barry Sanders or something like that. He just makes plays happen.
And Carter Connors, Ryan Connolly, definitely going to be instrumental in the Rams' offensive production today. But another player to watch might be Justin Villeneuve. He's their lefty attackman, and he definitely can snipe from outside.
Yeah, Justin Villeneuve has always been a good player since we were younger. I remember he's always had the hardest shot. He's a lefty. He's one of the few lefties that this New Canaan Rams team has, and that's a like slept on thing. Lefties are really important for your team. You always need a lefty attackman, and he's filled that role really well this year. He put up a goal against Mamaroneck. I know he put up a goal against Glastonbury. And that's really important. Those little one-goal players, they all add up, and they really can help your team win. It really helps you have a balanced attack, more so than if you have only stars like Doster Kroll shooting and scoring.
And for New Canaan, they're building towards their big game coming up on Saturday against Darien. They definitely want to get a win today over Radnor to build some momentum into such a big rivalry game.
Well, this Radnor team is definitely nothing to sleep on, though, Jackson. I believe they had a Pennsylvania national, or not national, but state championship last year. And when you have a championship team like that, that culture gets passed down to these players. So even if not all of them were playing on that team last year, and there are some younger guys on this Radnor team, that talent is passed down, and it's definitely something to watch out for.
Definitely a deep recruiting class for Radnor. A lot of the seniors are committed. Very talented players on this roster for sure.
Yeah, Jackson, I'm looking to see Will Gallagher play today. He's a Notre Dame commit. He'll be on defense. Would not be shocked to see him guarding Doster Kroll as the Rams' main goal scorer.
And Doster Kroll definitely going to be a handful for Gallagher. Definitely has the talent to cover him, but Kroll's crafty. We saw him take a backhand shot and score in their first game against Mamaroneck. He finds ways to get it done no matter what.
Yeah, Jackson. I think we're going to swing it down back to the field for the national anthem and the starting rosters.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to New Canaan High School's Dunning Stadium for today's boys lacrosse game between the Radnor Raptors and the New Canaan Rams. We ask that you all please rise, ladies and gentlemen, remove your hats for the playing of the Star-Spangled Banner.
And the teams will take the field here, Chad. Definitely going to be an exciting matchup. A Pennsylvania team playing a Connecticut team. Always a big interstate rivalry.
You know, Jackson, I'm not sure I've ever heard of the Pennsylvania-Connecticut interstate rivalry. They're a little far apart, but yeah, whenever you play a team out of state, you really want to stick it to them, I think.
And the Rams are going to look to bounce back following their loss last week to Fairfield Ludlow. In between that game and this game, of course, they beat Glastonbury 7-1. But that Ludlow loss really hurt the team's morale. It was an unexpected loss, an upset. We're definitely trying to rebuild from that.
Yeah, coming off that Mamaroneck game, we saw the Rams. They looked really good. They were able to win by, I think it was up to 7 goals. And when you come off a win like that, sometimes there's a little bit of a hangover in between games where sometimes you let down against a weaker opponent such as Fairfield Ludlow. Ludlow's not a bad team, but you have to be able to win those FCAC games against some of the FCAC teams that aren't as good as maybe Ridgefield or Darien.
Definitely. And in that Ludlow game, it just seemed like a lack of offensive production that really caused their demise. They only let in 7 goals, which is solid in a lacrosse game, but their offense just could not produce, only putting 6 goals up the entire game.
Yeah, that's been a typical story for this Rams team, though. It happened last year. There was a lot of good defensive play. I mean, Dylan Stevens, we all know about him. He's probably one of the top recruits in the state, maybe even the country for his grade. And when you have a player like that, you know you can play shutdown defense. But sometimes the goals just don't go in the net.
That's right. The combination on defense of the 2 sophomores, Gray Tomasco and Dylan Stevens, are definitely a force to be reckoned with. And now the players will take the field for the face-off. It's Wheatfeld to face off for the Rams. And he wins the face-off, but loses it. Lost possession of the ball there. And Radnor will take over to clear. Canaan trying to ride, but it looks like Radnor will take it up on a fast break. It's Lucchesi.
Yeah, Jackson, the New Canaan ride has been very good this year. We saw it in the Mamaroneck game. Really been able to force turnovers early, but they had a triple team get split there, and that's just something you can't allow.
Goldstein will feed from X, and a great save from Busby, who stuffed number 3 there. That was Nathaniel Lucchesi. Radnor will reset here. And French will be guarded by Schmitz, and he'll take the ball to X. Lucchesi controlling the possession at the top of the box for Radnor.
That was a great slide there by Dylan Murray. He's always willing to make the aggressive play there and willing to slide to a short stick defenseman.
Now Lucchesi dodges on Cognetta, who does a great job of deflecting the shot. The ground ball is scooped up by Garcia. He tries to split a double and does successfully before rolling the ball back to Dylan Stevens.
That was a veteran play there by Nick Garcia, making sure to roll the ball to avoid the possible overthrow. Really crucial in this ride not to turn it over.
And New Canaan trying to get a touch here. Cognetta will take it into the box. And now the Rams will have a settled possession. Michael Norton holding the ball in midfield.
We can see this Radnor team's really trying to play aggressive defense here. They're really pushing out far. And you can see just a lazy pass there by Conley, resulting in almost a turnover.
And the ground ball is missed by Carter Connors and secured then by Michael Norton. So the Rams avoid a turnover there. And Norton takes it right to the cage and kicks it down to Villeneuve. Now Connolly will work the ball. Villeneuve has a short stick, but he'll pass it off to Connolly. Villeneuve doesn't tend to dodge much, but he does have a short stick here.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't taken more advantage of this matchup. We see them going with a little pick there. Always a classic setup there. If you can have two short sticks switch off, maybe two guys that aren't as comfortable on defense, it's always something an offense looks to take advantage of.
And Villeneuve can shoot, but he doesn't like to dodge very often. More of a catch-and-shoot type player. He does have the short stick, though.
Yeah, now we have Salmini here. He's a bigger body. We can see that Villeneuve and Salmini are both in the game, two bigger guys. And we see Villeneuve dodging here. It's a rare occurrence.
Bit of tried to split back into his left hand, and the ref will say that the Radnor player was closer there. That's Chatta. And Radnor will set up there clear. Webb kicks it up to number 13, Cooper Muller. Muller feeds into the crease to number 3. That's Nathaniel Lucchesi, who finishes on Holden Busby.
Yeah, that just looked really discombobulated there, Jackson. The way the Rams went about playing defense there, they did not set up. They didn't have a lot of middies getting back to play defense. That was not the usual setup we see from the Rams defense. And that was a goal scored on Dylan Stevens. That's a rare goal. He almost never gives those up. And the Rams definitely need to correct that as the game goes on.
Definitely a bit of a defensive error there, but also on the offensive end, they turned the ball over on a missed shot, and we're not seeing much production on that end. Now it's John Totaro who faces off, and he wins it to Barrett Schmitz, who will take it up the field. Schmitz, a D-mid, will run off and kick it to Conley.
Barrett Schmitz has been so crucial on the wing this year, being able to get ground balls like he did there, split triple teams, be able to get the ball down to the offensive end, making sure the Rams maintain possession. That was a great play by him.
And now Villeneuve will take it to the top of the box and give it off to Vin Cognetta. Now Michael Norton. Connolly will look to dodge from X. He's got the short stick on him. Cognetta. Rams not finding much open space in front of the net right now. Radnor defense is doing a good job of containing.
Yeah, Jackson, we saw it earlier in the game. They were really pushing out on hands, and now the Radnor team really seems to be sloughing in, making sure this New Canaan offense doesn't get a good shot off without a body in front of it.
Kroll kicks it to Villeneuve, who finds Carter Connors at X. Connors feeds it into Doster Kroll, who snipes it top left corner.
I mean, and look, Doster Kroll, he's been that guy so far for the Rams. He's been able to put in goals when no one else has. He's leading the team in goals so far this year. And we saw even on like a high-level talent like Gallagher, he was able to slip behind him and just get a nice little catch-and-shoot goal. The Rams need to keep doing this as the game goes on.
Doster Kroll has been doing that all season long, Chad. Their leading goal scorer is definitely a force to be reckoned with on the offensive end.
Leading goal scored by number 23, Dustin Kroll. Assisted by number 3, Carter Connors.
And Cam Wheatfeld will come out to take the face off for the Rams. Already 1 for 1 so far. He loses it, but Barrett Schmitz recovers, then gets checked and loses the ball. Ends up in the stick of Nathaniel Lucchesi.
Yeah, that was a great get by Barrett Schmitz, but there seemed to be a lack of communication behind him. He didn't know the guy was coming up behind him to make a check. And as a defenseman, you're trying to make sure your team has a possession. You have to call out when your attackman's coming up to check a midi like that.
Definitely, Chad. And now Radnor will retain possession despite Schmitz winning that ground ball on the faceoff. And that's number 11, Colin French, going straight to the goal, but missing. Wide left.
I think Barrett might have had the wind knocked out of him there. We saw him throw a big hit. He's had some shoulder issues in the past, but it looks like he'll be able to get off the field on his own. He does not seem happy, though. Yeah, I think it might be his shoulder.
They'll definitely miss his presence out there as a D mid. And it's number 16, Griffin Gettner, who will take his place. Chessie will take it in for Radnor, guarded by Dylan Stevens. And a pass is fired inside, but incomplete, and then recovered and sniped from the outside by Radnor. What a shot. Went right by Holden Busby.
Yeah, and Holden Busby's coming off a 12-save game. We see he hasn't really been able to make those saves thus far today. That should have been an easier save. It was a low-to-low shot. Didn't really change plane. But look, when you have Dylan Stevens slip behind the cage like that, it really sets up an offense for this Radnor team. When you watch your best player fall down like that, creates a little confusion. It's something that doesn't usually happen, and the Rams just couldn't adjust.
You can't really fault the defense there. That was a shot from 13 yards, which usually you'll allow as a defense, but definitely something that New Canaan needs to clean up in the future, as they will get another possession here, and Michael Norton will take it into the box. And wild pass is handled by Villeneuve. Carter Connors will pass it down to Crowell, and the Rams will spin it around the perimeter. Villeneuve has a short stick again. Help comes from the crease, and he will give it off to Vin Cognetta. Cognetta will pull it out and pass it down to Norton. Now Carter Connors has a short stick. He's trying to get the ball from Norton.
Yeah, Jackson, this is a weird occurrence to be doing on Carter Connors. It looked like they were locking him off there, making sure he didn't get the ball. It really seems like they're trying to deny Carter Connors from being the spark for this Rams team.
And now Connors will get a dodge and a goal just like that. He doesn't need much space to do that, Chad.
Yeah, I can see why this Radnor team was locking him off from up top. It's pretty obvious they don't want to give him much space. But the LSM there, he wasn't able to make a good enough play. Typically, when you play a shiftier guy like Carter Connors, you really want to get up in his grill, be physical with him, because he's not the biggest guy, but he's super fast. He's not going to beat you with strength. But they gave him too much space there, and he made him pay.
And Carter Connors, typically an attackman, but he's kind of been playing like a midi this season. He comes in with the midi lines due to all the depth that New Canaan has at the attack position and their lack of depth at the midfield position. And Cam Wheatfeld will win the faceoff there, but a bad pass intended for Doster Kroll.
Yeah, it just seemed a little rushed there from the Rams. Cameron Wheatfeld, he's looking to make a play. They're looking to go up in this game. When it's a 2-2 game, it's anyone's game. And maybe you like to see him take a shot there even instead of throwing that pass.
And Radnor will turn it over in exchange. But on that bad pass from Wheatfeld, you see that a lot from Fogo. Sometimes their heads are a bit warped after the face-off, and it just comes out of their stick the wrong way.
Yeah, for sure, Jackson. And we saw the way Wheatfeld rushed there to make up for the play. He was pretty pivotal there in making sure that Radnor turned over the ball on the ride there.
And now Blair gives it up to Dylan Stevens. And a timeout will be taken by Coach Buzzio of the Rams. So you saw his team possibly in a bit of trouble there on the clear.
Yeah, and it looked like Nathaniel Lucchesi, his stick might have broken on the play there. That might impact him as the game goes on. We already saw him score a goal, but when you have to use a different stick, sometimes it really messes with the way you play. It can be a mental block, and other times you just haven't practiced as much with that stick, and it can really impact the way you shoot, the way you pass. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see more turnovers from him as the game goes on.
That's 100% right, Chad. His confidence might be altered a little bit. When you're really used to taking shots with a certain stick and you switch to a new one with a slightly different pocket, you never know how that ball is going to release until you get used to it with getting some reps that you could only get in practice.
Yeah, for sure, Jackson. And I wouldn't be surprised if Dylan Stevens, he's been guarding Nathaniel so far through this game. And I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to take advantage of this. Maybe push out a little bit more. Maybe play with, throw a couple more intricate stick checks. Maybe a little can opener. Who knows what he'll throw on him. But, yeah, this definitely opens up more opportunities defensively for the Rams.
And Dylan Stevens, such a great player. He was second team All-FCAC last season as a freshman. He's the real standout defender for this Rams team. He just sets himself apart with his combination of balance and footwork, Chad.
Yeah, and when Dylan Stevens came in last year, he was a quieter kid. But as I've talked to some of the kids on the team, it really seems like he's coming into his own this year. He's become more talkative. He's just a key member of the team, and everybody really loves to have him around.
Definitely, Chad. Now the Rams will come back on the field with 3 minutes and 56 seconds left to go in the first quarter. It is the Rams 2 and the Raptors 2. Tie game. Carter Connors will start with the ball for the Rams, guarded by the LSM Savadov.
Yeah, and it looks like they're willing to guard Villeneuve with the short stick here. This is not something you typically see. You typically don't see a defensive midi guarding attackman, but they really want to play against these middies of New Canaan with a couple of LSMs.
Now Carter Connors has his defender hung on the crease, and he will look to feed. Connors a very shifty attackman. Doesn't see anything there. And he'll reset to dodge on Savadov. A roll dodge, and he slips, but drops his defender too. Connors rips it. What a shot by Carter Connors. His second goal of the day.
I mean, Carter Connors is looking great today. He's been able to put together some great, really crafty dodges there. We saw the slippery field come into effect as we talked about in the pregame. There was a little bit of rain going on. You can see a couple of players have already slipped. Dylan Stevens has. He even slipped there to be able to score that goal. And, yeah, who would have thought the weather, even though it's sunny now, would play such a major effect in the game?
Now the Rams come back on the field after taking their first lead on the game. It is Totaro on the face-off. And it's a fight for the ground ball there. The Raptors secure a possession. But great defense on ball by Gray Tomasco. Force it loose. Excellent defense there from the Rams. And there's a timeout on the field. Is that called by the Raptors, Chad?
I believe it was called by the Raptors there. They were able to get a second possession after Gray checked out the ball there. But let's go back to Gray Tomasco. What a great play out of him. He wasn't a guy that was playing a lot last year. He was a freshman, but he still made varsity. And we can see him as a sophomore this year playing with his teammates, Dylan Stevens. He was really willing to push out there. He looked really aggressive, really confident, and that's what this Rams team needs. They're able to play this really good defense. They're able to prevent goals, as we've seen through most of the games. But being able to create these turnovers, make offensive opportunities for the Rams, it's going to be huge as the game goes on.
Yes, Chad, for sure. And now both teams will talk it over. And that was some excellent defense we saw there by the combination of Tomasco and Stevens on the sideline. Rams are definitely playing energized after taking their first lead of this game.
Yeah, for sure, Jackson. And I think this all stems from the confidence the offense has right now. I mean, we saw against Ludlow, they were only able to put up 6 goals. And the Rams are already at 3 goals as this game's this far in. And they're playing against better talent even, too. playing against a lot of guys like Gallagher, a Notre Dame commit, they're still able to put in goals. And it's all coming from Carter Connors, who we talked about in the pregame. I mean, I saw him posting on his Instagram story last night. He was really confident coming into this game, posting some highlights, told everyone to be there at noon for this game, and he hasn't disappointed so far.
That's right. He's definitely a shifty player, always making multiple moves, and he's just a difficult guy to stop. He really specializes off those low-angle shots, which have comprised both of his goals today. French will start with the possession for the Raptors. Guarded on the play by Ty Groff, who will force him right down the alley.
I mean, the loss of Barrett Smith is definitely huge for this Rams team right now. But being able to have a guy like Ty Groff, he's the quarterback for the football team in the coming up year. He's a good athlete, and he's able to play some good defense, and the team definitely has some confidence in him.
He got beaten down the alley that time, but luckily Finnegan was there to recover. Now Stevens with some defense behind the cage and a feed inside, and that's number 11, Colin French. Did he just score on Dylan Stevens again, Chad?
Well, I don't really think that's a Dylan Stevens goal, though, to be given up. I mean, we saw this setup by Goldstein there behind the net. It really messed with the Rams. We saw a half slide happen, which one of the major rules in lacrosse is if you're going to slide, you have to slide. So when you do a half slide like that, it really messes with the defense, and it left the midi wide open at the top just to get an easy feed into Colin French as two defenders approached.
Chad, there was definitely a bit of a breakdown on the defense. You're right. It seemed like a lack of communication, and Dylan Stevens kind of just got lost as the whole defense went down with him. Now it'll be Wheatfeld to face off. Dylan Murray on the wing running LSM for the Rams. Wheatfeld loses it, and Radnor has a fast break here if they want it, but Goldstein will slow it down and take it to X, guarded by Stevens.
You can really see Goldstein moving with a lot of confidence here. Even though he's guarded by a really superior defenseman like Stevens, I feel like the slippery turf might have him feeling like he can make a couple more cuts, maybe get some guys falling down.
Definitely. And Radnor will spread the Rams out here. Goldstein feeds it to Lucchesi, who throws another pass that is deflected, and Gray Tomasco with some excellent defense, forcing the turnover and giving it up to, I believe it's Dylan Murray running it up the field for the Rams, who will find Finnegan.
See, and this is a weird switch for the Rams. We see Finnegan running with a short stick. He's typically an LSM. I haven't seen him play with a short stick thus far this season, but I know in his club season he was an offensive midi, so I can see why Murray would be looking to pass him the ball there.
And Murray just tried to go a little bit too fast there, and Rams turned it over, but Radnor puts the ball on the ground, a careless mistake. The Rams can't scoop it up. The ball's loose. This looks really ugly, Chad. Chad, that reminded me of another sport that you might remember, but that was very ugly.
I mean, I was watching a couple highlights the other day, and that was a garbage goal right there. It reminded me of some Montana donkey basketball, Jackson.
That is exactly what I was going to say. The ball is just kind of loose. No one seems to be really giving much effort there, and turned into a Goldstein goal.
I mean, look at Goldstein, though. You can see the confidence there. He was willing to sit back. He waited for the ball to pop out, and then he got a full head of steam running so the other Rams players could just not catch up to him.
And Totaro will face off. And the Rams have really struggled on the face-off X today, as Radnor wins another face-off, and they'll have a possession here with under 30 seconds to go in the quarter. And a great save there by Busby, which is recovered by Stevens. The Rams have to push it here if they want an opportunity on the offensive end. Carter Connors taking it right up the box. He'll feed. Connolly rips it, and a goal with 1 second to go in the quarter. Connolly ties it up.
And that's a beautiful buzzer beater there by Connolly. Tying it up going into the quarter is always a great setup because, look, now you're going to be able to go into that second quarter. You can talk a little bit, and you don't have players worrying about being down. And, I mean, look, it was that Carter Connors to Conley connection we talked about in the last couple broadcasts. It's that classic New Canaan scout team offense in football coming together on the lacrosse field to just have a dominant performance.
And with 1 second, Wheatfeld will face off for the Rams. And time will run out on the quarter. Now, Chad, you gave me a 6-3 score prediction at the beginning of this game before our broadcast. And with 8 combined goals already in the first quarter, it is not looking very accurate. We didn't really expect a high score today, did we?
No, we did not. I mean, look, the identity of this Rams team so far through this season has been defense. It's always been defense. I mean, Dylan Stevens, Gray Tomasco coming out today, having a great game. But then players like Carter Connors, look, he has 3 points today, 1 assist, 2 goals. And we hadn't seen that from him so far this season. And when you have new players coming forward like that, it really shocks teams like Radnor that haven't seen these guys play before. So they don't have defensive setups to handle Carter Connors because all their film is on Doster Kroll.
And it seems like much more of a larger percentage of New Canaan's goals today have come off settled possession, where it seems like Radnor is really thriving off fast breaks, turnovers, kind of broken plays, as we saw on that wild scramble for a ground ball and then Goldstein goal.
Yeah, looking at this game, if you're the Rams, it's a 4-4 game, but when you look at the way you've played so far, I mean, when you're winning in settled possessions, garbage goals can come either way for either team. That's kind of more luck, hard work kind of stuff. But the way the Rams have been putting up their goals, settled possessions, that really comes more down to skill and being able to beat your defender. And the Rams have just been more effective at that so far today.
Definitely. And all those players that we said at the beginning of the game would make an impact have definitely made their names known today. Carter Connors with 2 goals, Connolly and Doster Kroll each with 1. It's almost surprising to see Doster Kroll with only 1 goal at the end of the first quarter.
I mean, looking at it though, you can't have a repeat of his. I mean, look, he had a hat trick in the first game in the first half, and you can't do that every game. And you have a player like Gallagher on the field that they're definitely shadowing more towards Doster Kroll. So he's not going to be the guy to get opportunities today. But the guys that have been getting opportunities have really been able to score goals thus far.
And I love to see Villeneuve get a bit more aggressive with his dodges. He's had a short stick on him almost all game, but he doesn't really want to take his defender to the goal. He's such a catch and shoot player. I'd like to see him gain some confidence on the dodging end.
And I think maybe it was just some first quarter jitters. Maybe it will get worked out as the game goes on. But I agree with you, Jackson. Definitely like to see some more action out of Justin Villeneuve.
And teams will come back on the field for the face-off. Wheatfeld will win this one. Gets it to himself, and he'll look to feed it into Villeneuve, who has a short stick on him again.
I mean, with Villeneuve's big body, you'd really like to see him dodge here. He can definitely run through number 14 here, but it might just not be something that happens.
I would be surprised if I saw him dodge, but it seems like he'll just slow it down, look to feed. Kroll always threatening off a cut. Villeneuve will take it up and not really threaten the goal at all, and the Rams will spin it around.
I mean, Radnor was quick to slide there. They knew the short stick midi was guarding Villeneuve. They knew it was a bad matchup. Very well done by Radnor.
Now Cognetta will dodge. He has a shot here, and he rips it. A bounce shot, right side of the net. Great shot by Vin Cognetta.
Yeah, Cognetta's been really good this season. I know he's coming off a 2-goal game against Glastonbury so far. He reminds me a little bit of Nick Chubb. He used to play running back for the Rams, and he's just a big body that's willing to go down. He goes through contact very well, and when he gets hit, he's always really quick to respond.
I mean, I think his stick skills have definitely improved over the course of the season. Normally kind of just looks like an athletic player out there that doesn't necessarily specialize in lacrosse, but that shot looked very good to me, Chad.
Yeah, and he's one of the few lefties on this team alongside Villeneuve. And, I mean, when you have someone dodging from a different spot on the field than you typically see, it makes a little bit of a difference.
Definitely, and now a loose ball here on the face-off is recovered by Murray, who feeds it up to Finnegan, who has not handled passes well today. He just gets clocked from the back, and a flag is down.
I mean, we talked about it with Nathaniel Lucchesi and how his stick being broken might impact him. We see Colin Finnegan playing with a stick he's not really used to. He's typically a long stick midi. He's playing offensive midi today. He's helping out on the wings because of the loss of Barrett Schmitz. And you can see he's a little uncomfortable using that stick so far.
Definitely. And that's the second pass we've seen him mishandle. And there was a bit of discussion between the officials on whether or not they were going to call a push or throw an actual flag on Radnor, but I believe they did not throw. They picked up the flag, and it's just going to be New Canaan possession here, not man down. Carter Connors throws a lazy pass intended for Doster Kroll, and it's a turnover as Savadov, the LSM, will take it the other way for Radnor.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of confidence in Savadov. You can see they're using him almost as like the second defenseman. They've definitely been relying on Gallagher the most, but with Savadov out there, they have a second guy they can rely on, kind of like the way Gray Tomasco is for this Rams defense.
And Radnor will settle it down. Goldstein will walk the ball at midfield and feed it over to Colin French. Trossett has Cognetta on him at X. Norton will switch on to Trossett as Radnor will run a little bit of a two-man game on the two short sticks at X. French tries to roll inside on Cognetta, who will not allow anything. And now Norton with some excellent defense here on Trossett.
And Jackson, these are two guys that know how to play defense. Cognetta is a former long stick when we were younger, and Michael Norton played defensive midi for the Eclipse National Championship team this year. So these are two guys that definitely know how to play D.
And a shot there by French is off the post or saved by Busby. Hard to tell what happened there. And Cognetta lays a big hit.
I mean, we can see Vin maybe flashing back to some of his football days there, laying a big hit like the linebacker that he is.
And now Dylan Stevens with some excellent defense there on number 32, Ryan Goldstein, who got a shot off, but it was a bit of a wild one, went left.
You have to like the confidence out of Goldstein so far this game. You can tell he's the #1 option. He is the Cornell commit. But when you look at him on the field, I mean, definitely not the drippiest player on the field. I think he's wearing some short socks. Definitely an interesting style.
Definitely. And doesn't look like a very big player either.
No, he does not.
Oh, and a great job by Holden Busby. Number 7, Jason Trossett, was wide open on the crease for Radnor, and Busby got a stick in the passing lane and forced a turnover. And now it's Norton, one of the fastest players on the team, who will take it the other way after receiving a big hit from number 22, Nick Lucchesi. Now the ball's on the ground again, and a careless turnover for the Rams.
And that was a big hit there from Salmini. He was able to lay on that LSM. Sadly, it did not result in the Rams getting the ball, and it looks like a fast break here.
Lucchesi will take it straight to Dylan Stevens, but then miss a shot. And that was another sequence, Chad, that I would liken to some Montana donkey basketball. Ball was all over the place.
Yeah, Jackson, it's not, you don't want to see these types of things, though, if you're the Rams today. They've been so much better in set possessions. It's when these more garbage moments happen that they've really been letting up goals.
And that was just turnover after turnover. The ball was loose, and a shot is ripped there, but goes outside of the cage. Cooper Miller on the miss. Goldstein dodges, roll inside on Dylan Stevens, and hurls it over the cage. Nick Garcia, who was chasing after that one, gets shoved in the back to secure the Rams' possession.
I got to tell you, Jackson, that's very reminiscent of how Nicholas Garcia played in the Y-ball season. He was able to draw a lot of penalties, being able to flop kind of, and we can see it translating to the lacrosse field here. He was able to get the ball there for the Rams just by taking a little bit of a tumble, one might say.
And a dangerous pass there from Gettner, who who received the ball from Busby, was out of the cage. And now a fast break and a bad pass by Gettner intended for Matt Salmini. And just like that, the Rams turn it over again.
I mean, this midi line so far for the Rams this season hasn't been the best one. The one of Walker Blair, Matt Salmini, and Gettner. Gettner had a couple goals in the early game, but you can really see this junior team. They don't have a lot of experience so far, but they might get better as the season goes on.
And very fortunate for the Rams that that one squeaked left of the cage. That was a wide open shot for Radnor. An excellent defense here from Dylan Murray.
I mean, Dylan Murray's not the biggest guy, but he's definitely a ferocious player. He was a very good defensive back for the Rams football team this year. I believe he earned second team All-FCIAC honors, and he plays a lot bigger than he appears to be.
And Radnor will have a settled possession, something that the Rams have not been able to do very much this quarter. And a shot is ripped right past the cage. Holden Busby, fortunate that one was not on target.
And look, Holden Busby's looked really good today. I know Radnor's been missing some shots, but he looks confident in the net. I know they've given up 4 goals already today, but the way he was able to direct the defense there a little bit, he was able to communicate after that shot. And I know from some of the seniors that I've talked to that this is a guy, they really look at him for his experience. He's a junior, but last year he was a starter as a sophomore. And he's a guy they've really leaned on so far this year. He's had 12 saves last game, and he's just been really good so far.
Definitely, Chad. And I'm sure Coach Buzzy is talking to his team about just slowing it down when they get the ball on the offensive end. They haven't scored on the fast breaks at all, and we just saw several consecutive turnovers on possessions from the Rams in which they were just kind of throwing lazy passes, losing the ball, just putting it on the ground and giving Radnor these opportunities.
Yeah, that's kind of to be expected, though. Not everyone's on all the time. It happens to a lot of teams. It's being able to limit those mistakes. If you can keep those if you don't let those mistakes take over the game, it can really help impact the team, and it really just builds confidence as time goes on. If you can get these just routine passes down over and over again, it really just helps build an offense, and it's something that happens as the season goes on. It doesn't always happen right at the beginning.
Definitely, but you have to credit the Rams defense who have just, despite all of the time that Radnor's had the ball on the offensive end, the Rams defense has just shut them down. We've seen great play from Tomasco and Stevens and Dylan Murray to just completely shut down Radnor on these settled possessions. They've only really thrived off these broken plays.
Yeah, for sure, Jackson. And I mean, look, the way to limit those plays is you have to be able to clear the ball properly. If you can clear the ball, you're able to get these set possessions that the Rams have been able to dominate today. And it prevents that Montana donkey basketball that we talked about before. It just prevents all the negative plays that the Rams have experienced.
Yeah, Rams definitely want to clean up that donkey basketball as French will feed it inside. Great on-ball defense here by Vin Cognetta. Force the ball on the ground.
Yeah, and I mean, look at it again. We can see the defensive experience from Vin. He's willing to create contact, as we talked about before, and it's really helped the Rams so far.
And the 2 D-mids out there in Schmitz's absence are Michael Norton and Vin Cognetta, who are doing a great job. Norton guarding French on the play. And solid defense here from Tomasco. Radnor tries to get something going here with 5 minutes to go in the quarter. French will dodge inside on Norton, and the ball is saved by Holden Busby, who's playing great today.
I believe he has a 4 to 5 save streak going here. He let in a couple of goals early, but he really seems to be adjusting and seeing where these Radnor shots are coming from.
Now, Tomasco gets a touch, but I'd love to see a midi come help him, and Carter Connors does just that. One of the better ball handlers on the team.
You can see that Carter Connors was definitely looking to dodge there. Very good move pulling it out. He had 2 poles in front of him, but Carter Connors typically not a guy to be scared of moments like that.
Definitely not, and Connors gets some open space here. Cognetta gives it to Villeneuve, who has a shorty again, but see if he'll dodge here. The double comes, and they'll kick it back out to Salmini.
Now, Salmini is known for having a righty rocket shot. Some people even said it's comparable to Chris Kinnett's shot, the best player for the Rams last year. but he just hasn't been able to get the shots off. He hasn't been able to handle the ball as well as some of the other players in the past. And if this can happen for Salmini as the season goes on, he could be a really good player for this team.
I mean, I've heard a lot, Chad, about this mythical shot Salmini pulls out in practice down the alley, but it's yet to translate in games.
Yeah, and here's the key matchup right here for the Rams. We see they're guarding Justin Villeneuve with the short stick midi. A little bit disrespectful to him as an attackman. He has to be able to win this matchup. They've been quick to slide to him, but this is the key matchup for the game.
And he dodges, but quickly kicks it back to Connors, who gets a pick and rips it. What a shot by Carter Connors. That is a hat trick.
And this is a hat trick in the first half. It looks a lot like what Doster Kroll was able to do against Mamaroneck at the beginning of the season. And you can just see the confidence coming off Carter Connors. He's usually a very confident guy. I've seen him wear a Buffalo Bills suit, all decked out, looking good like that. But you can really tell from him, he's the main scorer for today. He's taken over this game, and it's looking good so far. 6-4 winning the game.
The senior Franklin and Marshall commit has just dominated today. That's his shot, Chad, coming around the cage. Righty, low angle, he always makes those. He's been very consistent for the Rams.
And that's the rare Carter Connors goal where he only really made one move there. He's typically a 3-4 moves kind of guy, but it only took one this time. And if he can continue that, I can see maybe a 6-goal game even for Carter Connors today.
Certainly, Chad, and we lost the face-off and then kind of tripped and fell into the Radnor player to draw the loose ball push, and Radnor will take possession here. It's Lucchesi, guarded by Garcia, who will take it to the far side of the box. Trossett will dodge on Tigeroff, but just take it all the way down the alley and behind the cage. Now Norton with some excellent defense on Muller.
You really have to like the communication this Rams team has on defense right now. They've been able to quickly switch, and it's been really effective in being able to slide more and be more confident in sliding.
And now Murray with some on-ball defense on Lucchesi. Just excellent defense here from the Rams. And a bad pass gets batted down. Chad, that was some great job by Dylan Stevens on that last possession, keeping up with Goldstein, who was about half the size of him, but Stevens' agility just shone through as he was pace for pace with him.
Yeah, and when you have a player as tiny as Goldstein that can make these really effective cuts, it's sometimes harder for a larger defenseman like Dylan Stevens to be able to keep up with him. But Dylan Stevens, you can tell, maybe a little frustrated from the beginning of the game, has done a really good job being physical with him and keeping him from making so many moves as he has before.
Now Villeneuve has the shorty on him again, but will kick it up to Kroll, who feeds Carter Connors, who will command the point. Rams looking to spin it. Now Villeneuve comes around from X and rips a shot over the cage.
Now, Jackson, I know that wasn't a great shot, but you really have to be happy with Villeneuve finally getting a shot off, really looking to shoot instead of, he's been passing it off a lot more. I wouldn't be surprised if he keeps shooting after that.
Villeneuve's got the green light on that shot all day. That's his shot right there, the lefty shot coming around the cage. Usually sticks those. Now Connolly will feed it back to Villeneuve. He'll look to set it up from behind the cage as Carter Connors runs through. Set a pick. Villeneuve just muscling his way in there.
See, and that's not what the Rams were looking for there. I think they were trying to force a switch between Salvador and number 33 here on Carter Connors, so maybe Carter Connors would get an easier dodge against the short stick midi.
Carter Connors with an ankle breaker move and a great feed inside to Connolly, who just could not handle it. But a great save by Cognetta to prevent the ball from going out of bounds, and he's got a bit of a fast break here. Shot ripped by Villeneuve. And looks like Salvador was closer there, and Radnor will take the possession.
Yeah, Jackson, that was a really good ground ball set up right there by Mike Cognetta. and they did a great job of being able to get a shot off there with only a couple seconds left. It wasn't the result they were looking for, but look, it's 6-4. They've been able to threaten the cage a little bit, and they're looking good so far.
Definitely, the Rams look great today. And now we're going to send it down to Perrin Tomasco on the sidelines.
10 minutes, guys? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, boys. New Canaan has won 7 out of the 11 faceoffs so far in this half, and it is shown in their 6-4 lead. Senior and Franklin and Marshall commit Carter Connors has been on fire this game with 3 goals and 2 assists. The game is still young with the second half coming up soon, and I'll get back to you boys later.
Beautiful outside, 62 degrees, sunny. That was not the case this morning. Rain was coming down, horrible weather, which created some slick turf conditions. We're going to show you a clip from the pregame, in which I interviewed Chad, our weather and field condition analyst.
Hello, I'm on the field with weather expert and field conditions expert Chad Russo. Chad, what are we looking at for today's game?
So Jackson, before the game, we had some heavy showers coming down. And feeling this field right now, man, it's a little slick. And we already saw some players slipping yesterday when the field was dry, causing some injuries. Hopefully we don't see that today, but look at the weather we have now, man. Beautiful weather. This is exactly what we're looking for a lacrosse game. Nice, mild 65-degree temperature. 5-mile-per-hour winds blowing this way. And let me tell you, I think we're ready for a great game today. I think we're in for a good one, Jackson. That's so perfect. And now a word from our sponsors, which I will be the word from our sponsors. So let's kick it off with our platinum sponsors. Well, I cannot say enough about our platinum sponsors. I know I went to Walter Stewart's today before the game, got a nice apple, made sure I had a nice little pregame meal before being on the call, was able to get a nice beverage. And Walter Stewart's, you can always rely on them for the freshest produce. Rambuya and Harrow Real Estate, I know they sell a lot of houses around New Canaan. They have a daughter in our grade. I know they're really good people, really great people over at Rambuya and Harrow Real Estate. And Carl Chevrolet, I can't say enough. It is the automotive jewel of New Canaan. It's truly a magnificent place to go buy a car, always tip-top service. I know my parents have bought a couple cars from there. My brother drives a Chevy Colorado, especially from Carl Chevrolet. And William J. Fesler Dentistry. It's a great place to go. I know sometimes it can be awkward sitting in that dentistry chair, but William J. Fesler always makes sure you have a great time when you go and see the dentist, and he makes sure your teeth are pearly white. And now for our gold sponsors. Renaissance Partners LLC is a residential construction company. They do a great job. They've built up a lot of New Canaan. They're a huge member of the community, and they've been really helpful. And Performance Optimal Health, they've been really helpful here. They had Adam, a trainer, here a couple years ago. I know everyone loved him. He was a really helpful guy, and I know everyone really just loves working with Performance at the high school. Thank you once again to our sponsors, and we'll be back at half.
Welcome back, everybody, for some second half action between the Rams and the Raptors. New Canaan is up 6-4 going into half. Not a score we necessarily expected, Chad, but Rams are in this game. Both teams are in this game. We have an exciting matchup slated for us.
Yeah, and look, I mean, Carter Connors, I don't think we didn't really talk about him enough at pregame. I know we had one highlight from him, but he's been a highlight reel today. He's been able to make amazing moves on every single defender. It doesn't matter who's guarding him. He's been able to put the ball in the net, and it's really been a spark for these Rams. You can see some confidence around him. They know who to throw the ball to. They're not just forcing it to Doster Kroll, and it's really good to have that second option.
Definitely, Chad. Some beautiful lacrosse weather out here as the teams take the field at the start of the third quarter. Definitely will be interesting to see if Doster Kroll gets more involved. As you said, he's just usually such a weapon on the scoring end, and he's been a very quiet day for him.
Well, I think it's important to take note with Doster Kroll here. He was nursing a little bit of an injury, and he is getting guarded by the best player on this Radnor team. I mean, Gallagher is probably one of the better defenders in the country, being able to go to Notre Dame in a place like that. So he's taking away the best defenseman. By having him guarded by Gallagher, he's really actually helped this Rams offense.
And John Tatara looked like he won the faceoff there. He was going for the ground ball, but he got shoved in the back, and that'll be a loose ball push on Radnor in a Rams possession.
That's a classic John Tatara play there, though. So ever since I've been playing with him, he's been really good about being able to go down when he feels that little bit of contact on his back. And because he's a smaller player, he typically is able to get that call.
Definitely. And Norton will hold the ball on the close side of the box as Murray retreats to defense and Cognetta joins. Norton will feed down to Villeneuve. It's been pretty quiet today, but he'll look to dodge and then feed into Kroll, who rips it. That's not an opportunity they want to give him.
Yeah, he had a very wide angle there to shoot, and it looked like he almost got a little excited. He had to hitch a little bit because they got a body in front of him before he was able to shoot. It just altered that shot a little bit, as you could see.
And now Connors making some moves, trying to free himself up. And Villeneuve feeds inside to Kroll again, who bounced it over the cage that time. Rare to see him miss two in a row.
Yeah, and you can tell that this New Canaan team at halftime probably talked to Doster Kroll a little bit, got him more into cutting towards the net instead of looking more for dodge opportunities.
And Villeneuve, who's been feeding, feeds again to Kroll, who snipes it again. And they're fine to let him shoot these all day, Chad, until he puts one on the goal.
Yeah, these shots are looking weird for Doster. It might be that his stick isn't as warmed up because he hasn't been getting the ball as much so far this game. I wouldn't be surprised if he straightens out his shot and is able to put one in the net. But those first three shots definitely didn't look too great.
And now Norton will run around with the ball, taking it across the top of the box. But he gets his pass deflected, and it's a turnover. And narrowly avoided a turnover there for Radnor. Great job by Villeneuve on the ride. But Radnor will get it across midfield. And Muller will get a touch for the Raptors. Norton will leave the field, and we'll see Finnegan come on, running some short stick defensive midi reps, maybe in the absence of Schmitz. We've talked about how he's normally an LSM, but making the switch to short stick today.
I mean, Finnegan is always a great fill-in. He's a sophomore player. He's a little bit younger, but he's always looking to create contact. He's always looking for a little bit of a fight, one might say. And you can definitely see it with him on the field. He has confidence to him, even though he's a younger kid.
Definitely. And now Trossett will set up a dodge on Cognetta, but help comes quickly from Tomasco. And Goldstein tried to quickly dodge on Stevens, but Stevens was there to recover and shut it down. Now a dodge on Cognetta by Lucchesi. Tries to roll back and kick it to his brother, the other Lucchesi. And a great slide there from Finnegan to shut him down. And somehow the ball stayed in his stick, and now he's running with it, and he rips it past the cage before getting leveled by Dylan Murray.
And you have to love how aggressive this Rams defense is being. I mean, I'm almost surprised Colin Finnegan didn't get a slash call there. He was swinging that stick like no one's business. It almost looked like he was chopping wood. But and then laying the body like Dylan Murray did there. He's always looking for a hit. And we see a ward here by Goldstein. Surprising that this is the first one of the game. He's been using that arm a lot. But it's great to see the refs make the call.
Well, being a guy as small as Goldstein going against a very talented, large defender like Stevens, sometimes you need to try to get away with the ward, but he did not that time, and it's called, and now the Rams will set up a possession. It's Carter Connors. Gets a touch and then feeds it up to Salmini. Finds Norton. Norton finds Kroll, who rips it, and another one for Kroll. It just misses the cage entirely, but it's better that than a save, obviously.
For sure, Jackson. That's definitely more of a possession shot there. I mean, if you're going to miss the cage, at least you have someone there to back it up. But I'd really like to see them get the ball to Carter Connors here. He's been the hot hand so far today. And Doster Kroll just hasn't been able to get the ball even close to the net, not even in the atmosphere of the net. So it'd be really good to get the ball to Carter.
Connolly will dodge on Muller. He's got the short stick. And he throws a bad pass over the head of Salmini, but Norton's there to recover. Norton will dodge and feed inside to Salmini, but it's batted down. But a great recovery. And they'll call a loose ball push on New Canaan there.
It almost seems like the Rams are trying to force the ball to Salmini a little too often. It seems like it's almost a lot of turnovers whenever he gets the ball. And, I mean, he was double covered there on the crease, and they kind of forced the ball into him. You don't really want to see that more in the game.
Sometimes, Chad, teammates try to trust each other and just expect that every player on the field can make the plays that they're expected to. But other times when a player's really struggling the way Salmini is to handle the ball, you just need to have the awareness to maybe go another route. Muller will feed it up to Lucchesi as Radnor swings it around here. And Blair fell, but recovers quickly. Lucchesi will feed down to Goldstein at X. French, roll dodge inside on Gettner. The slide from Tomasco comes, and a great save by Busby.
And you want to see Walker Blair go more after that ground ball there. It almost looked like he let it roll to Lucchesi, and you just can't have that happen. The Rams have been playing good defense. You have to be able to go and get that possession.
Now Lucchesi will spread the defense out. And then pass it in to his brother, the other Lucchesi. Radnor just moving the ball around here. Not really getting many shot opportunities, but that can be attributed to some great defense here from New Canaan.
Yeah, and I mean, we can't reiterate it enough. That's definitely the strength of this New Canaan team. The offense definitely has some stars on it, but this defense has been good all year.
And now Gettner has French dodging on him, and French forced a pass in there, which gets batted down, and Busby will initiate the clear for the Rams.
Yeah, and you can see that the Rams are really trying to get the ball back to Busby as much as possible. We saw Ty Groff drop the ball in the crease a couple times in the last quarter, and we saw Nick Garcia, more veteran player, also trying to get the ball back to Busby.
And now Garcia desperately needed some help. None came, and he just threw the ball behind his back, which was a turnover. And Radnor will take over. Kroll will chase to go for one more check, which he cannot get off, and Lucchesi will take it on a fast break. Tries to go right through the defense, which Dylan Murray was not having any of, and Tomasco will take it the other way and kick it up to Justin Villeneuve, who had numbers if he wanted it, but he'll settle it down.
I mean, we like to talk about Dylan Stevens a lot, but this combo of Dylan Murray and Gray Tomasco today, it's been really effective in creating turnovers and making sure the Rams get the ball back instead of allowing shots.
And Dylan Murray, an excellent defender, very quick player, but also very physical. Now Carter Connors, who already has 3 goals today, passes it to Norton. who dodges down the alley. Coming around the cage, Norton rolls back and rips a shot underhand that went just left of the goal.
Yeah, you have to wonder if that's a little bit of a frustration shot there from Norton. He's a senior captain. We hadn't seen him shoot yet today. That's just not the angle he typically looks for. He tends to be more of a north to south dodger, and it's rare to see him attack from behind the net.
And Connolly feeds to Kroll, who rips it past the cage again. And great hustle there from Savadov to chase the ball down for Radnor.
I mean, Doster Kroll is typically a very talented shooter, but you have to imagine, you have to think he's trying to look for specific specific spots here. He's been shooting wide a lot. You have to wonder if he's aiming for these corners, and maybe he should just shoot more down the middle.
It's getting to a point, Chad, where he definitely needs to put some of these shots on the cage. Now Radnor will set up a possession, keeping the pole out there. Radnor will get the pole off and set it up here. Truss it. Tries to take Tiger off, but quick slide comes from Tomasco, and a great double there from Teddy Rosen. Forces the ball on the ground, and Hayes fighting for it with Lucchesi. Lucchesi's able to recover the ball.
And Jackson, the Rams have a younger lineup in here. There's not a single senior on the field that I can see right now, and you can see a little bit of the youth playing through, but this younger group is definitely playing well.
And Dylan Stevens certainly playing well ever since his rocky start, as he forces a turnover there. Bad pass by Goldstein. Busby is able to handle and now gives it up to Gettner, who will try to run it. One of the fastest players on this team, but he needs some help here. Gets the pass up to Tomasco, who needs a touch, but no one's coming to help him, and he looks like Buzzio got a timeout, though.
And that's a really well-timed timeout there. We saw it would have been a turnover had he not gotten that timeout off. And it's always good when you have a pull down on the offensive end. Just settle things down. If there's no one open, make sure that you can get possession and make sure you don't have a tired defenseman running back down.
We talked about the lack of seniors on the team in the midfield and defense there for the Rams. Definitely showed as they were unable to clear the ball. Usually if you have a guy like Michael Norton, Vincognetta, Carter Connors even out there, they can just kind of run the clear by themselves, but no help there for Tomasco as he kind of got trapped on the sideline.
Yeah, and if Gettner can develop into one of those guys that can clear somewhat similar to a Michael Norton or a Carter Connors, he could really be a helpful player for this second midi line. Because look, this second midi line, it's a lot of younger guys, and Gettner's the real speed of that younger guy group. Walker Blair, he's one of the bigger guys. Salmini's sometimes bigger. And you need Gettner to be able to clear. That's one of the keys for him. If he's going to be out on the field as a midi, he needs to be able to help in the clear and make sure players like Greg Tomasco don't get trapped.
Definitely a lot of good physical and athletic attributes from that junior midi lineup, but they've struggled today with some of those basic fundamentals. Definitely need to see them develop in those areas next season. Really struggle to maintain possessions.
And Jackson, they definitely have time to do that. It's early in the season. These are some guys that weren't even on varsity last year. Many of them were JV players. And you can really see some of that inexperience, but they've definitely been getting better since the Mamaroneck game. And they're definitely going to be very key players as the season goes on.
New Canaan will come back on the field. Michael Norton, Vincognetta, and Carter Connors comprising the midi lineup for the Rams.
And this is definitely the midi lineup they want in. This is their first line. Cognetta, he's a very good lefty. Carter Connors, he's definitely a hot hand today. And Michael Norton's really good at setting up scoring opportunities for his other players. Because he's so good at dodging north to south, he needs an LSM to be able to guard him.
And it's great to see Norton out there. Played last season and this season, but earlier in his lacrosse career struggled a lot with injuries. One of the most gifted athletically of all the middies on this team.
And we talked about him a little bit earlier. He's been really helpful in the defensive end as well. He might not have as many goals this year, but he's been really helpful in terms of a leadership perspective. He's always a great communicator, always good at getting other guys involved on the team, and it's really showed through with some of the youth on this team.
Now Carter Connors will take it to the top of the box before reversing field and giving it off to Cognetta, who has a short stick on him. Will roll inside before moving it over to Norton. Now Villeneuve gets a pick from Connolly and will feed it back to him, but Connolly couldn't handle the pass, nor could he pick up the ground ball, and it's a turnover. And Radnor secures a possession and gets a touch. That was a bit of an unfortunate sequence for the Rams. It looked like Villeneuve drew the double, tried to quickly move it over to Connolly so he could reverse it and try to set up a advantage play for the Rams, but Connolly couldn't handle the pass or scoop up the ground ball, and Coach Buzzio definitely hates to see something like that.
Yeah, but those are plays you're willing to give up. Things like that happen when you're trying to make points go up on the scoreboard. And you just have to be happy that the defense and the middies were able to get back, stop the break, make sure it turned into a settled possession, where this Radnor team has struggled more this game.
And with 15 seconds left, the Radnor will go for the last shot of the quarter. Running out of time here to do so. But a great save by Holden Busby. He was one-on-one, and he just won that one. Great play by him to end the quarter strong for the Rams, maintain their 2-goal lead going into the fourth.
Yeah, Jackson, they have to be really happy about stopping a goal from going in there. We saw one hand on Vin's stick. He was going to try and force a turnover. Maybe he didn't know about the time on the clock, but they were able to create a good slide, and Holden Busby was a stonewall in net there. Really helped out the Rams, and he's been that way ever since the first quarter.
And now we're going to send it down to Perrin on the sideline to fill you in more about this game.
Thanks, boys. The New Canaan's defense has been on fire this whole game, but especially this quarter, we saw that Radnor's attack had it down on the white side the whole entire quarter. New Canaan's defense stopped them and did not let them score once. Outstanding performances from seniors Nick Garcia and Dylan Murray, and also sophomore Gray Tomasco. Defense still has to keep up the great work to keep New Canaan up ahead 6-4 in the fourth quarter, so we'll see what they can do. Back to you, boys.
And Chad, I don't even know if there was any scoring in that last quarter. Very quiet offensively for both teams. That can be attributed, obviously, to some great defense by both the Rams and the Raptors, but it can also be attributed to some bad offense. Doster Kroll missed about 6 shots.
Yeah, and I mean, look, it's maybe that like Jordan personality. I know he's wearing the number 23, where if you're gonna shoot, shooter's gonna shoot, and he kept doing it, but it was nowhere near the net at any point during that quarter. And I mean, hopefully he can get his shot back in, but maybe he can be more effective as a feeder as this game goes on. If you can't get your shots to go in, you have to be able to be effective in other facets of the game, and maybe he'll just turn into a feeder for the rest of the game.
And if he does that, they definitely have some other attackmen who can step up. Carter Connors and Ryan Connolly have combined for 4 goals today and can definitely put them in the back of the net. Now Wheatfeld will face off. He struggled today.
I mean, for Wheatfeld, though, it's hard to keep up he's had some really great performances so far this year. I know the Rams have won the majority of the face-offs they've taken by a wide margin, and that can widely be attributed to both him and John Totoro.
And he wins that one, gets a touch, and draws the attention of the pole, but it's running loose, and he throws it to Murray, who turns it over. Unfortunate there. We felt really needed help. He was kind of running around, drew the pole, and tried to feed it off to Murray, who forced a pass there to Connolly.
Yeah, after beating Gallagher there like that, you would expect maybe Cameron Wheatfeld. I know it's not typical of a Fogo, but maybe going to the goal instead of passing it to a long stick might have been more effective. But you can't hate him for going for the attempt.
And a fast break there from Muller as he ripped that one past Holden Busby to narrow the Rams' lead down to 1.
And look, Jackson, we've said it almost the entire game, but that wasn't a settled goal. It's coming from another fast break, another almost garbage goal, where the defense wasn't really set up. There weren't middies getting back, and there were a lot of issues going on defense there. You have to be able to get up back and set up your defense when you're having such a good game when you're 6-on-6.
And after a quarter with hardly any scoring, less than a minute into the fourth, Radnor responds and closes into that Rams lead. Now to Taro. Face off, and he'll win it, but he needs help here. And poor awareness from Ty Groff. Flag is going to be drawn for a slash, and Tataro looks like he's hurt. Might have been slashed in some unfortunate places, but Ty Groff really needs to have some more awareness in that situation, Chad. John Tataro clearly needed help. He's not a very confident ball handler. He won the faceoff, and Groff was just running the other way, even though he was open. And Tataro was obviously looking to pass it there, but flag will be called on Radnor, and that'll be a 30-second penalty on them. So we'll get to see the Rams man up for the first time today.
Yeah, and this man-up team hasn't been great all season. They haven't been able to get the looks they've been looking for, and that's definitely not one of the looks they're looking for. Doster Kroll from about 15 yards out. You have to look to make some more passes than that.
He put it on goal that time, but it was definitely a difficult shot. 15-plus yards away, and now immediately the Radnor penalty gets run out. It's especially not a shot you want to take on man up.
Yeah, Jackson, when you're given a free opportunity like that, it reminds me a little bit of the girls' game yesterday with the 8 meters that they chose not to take. When you have man-down opportunities where you have the chance to be able to score goals, you have to be able to put the ball in the net, and you can't just throw away the possession like Doster Kroll did there.
Certainly. Now Radnor will have a settled possession, which has not exactly been where they've thrived today. Gettner will try to force down the alley here. Damasco's waiting on the crease to slide. Great defense here. Guarding up Lucchesi. Gettner allows the feed inside, and now Radnor's just kind of moving the ball amongst themselves. Not really any lanes to dodge.
That was a great being able to show a little bit of help on defense and staying settled down enough to be able to pick up Monterello when he got the ball.
Now Lucchesi guarding on Murray, started from about midfield. He'll roll back and rip one into the goal. What a shot by Lucchesi, Chad.
Yeah, that was a great shot. Being able to turn around like that, being able to orient yourself, being able to find the spot you want to hit on the goal, and being able to put the ball there, that was definitely really impressive out of Lucchesi.
And he ties the game up with just over 9 minutes to go in this one. And just like that, that is 2 unanswered by Radnor. Canaan definitely needs to get something going on the offensive end. They have been quiet for several minutes here. It's going to all start with Wheatfeld, who will take the face off, and he wins it, but it goes high, and ball is recovered by Vin Cognetta, who takes a slash to the helmet that doesn't get called, and another slash to the helmet, but he's just trucking through the defense, definitely looking like Nick Chubb right now.
And that was a great job by Vin Cognetta. I already believe you referenced it there, the Nick Chubb-esque run, being able to truck through multiple defenders. And being aggressive like that, being able to run through people, they're going to be scared to get in front of Vin Cognetta again. When you get trucked, almost embarrassed like that as a smaller player, it's really hard to recover. And sometimes that can be a major difference in a game.
And I'm shocked to see that no flags were thrown on that play, Chad. Vin Cognetta got slashed in the helmet twice. I saw his helmet face mask pop up, but looks like Coach Buzzio just called a timeout, and team will get a possession.
I think when Vin Cognetta has the ball, Jackson, I think they're looking almost more for ward calls. With his ability, I feel like they're scared for the other player's safety. He's such a force in the way he's able to carry the ball. I'm not surprised he didn't get the call. Guys like Vin Cognetta typically, when they're that strong and that good, typically don't get the call.
Definitely showed that he was a running back there. But what do you think Coach Buzzio is going to draw up for his team right now, Chad? It's a tie game, 9 minutes left to go. The offense has been quiet for a pretty long stretch here. What do you think they can do to respond?
Look, it's been typical for this season for them to go to Doster Kroll, but if you look at the way he's been playing so far today, he's a little bit frustrated. He's looking to get himself shots a little too much. I think they should go back to Carter Connors. Look, he had 3 goals in the first half. It's been a quiet first half for the Rams. The game's all tied up, and you know who's really good in those situations? Carter Connors. With his confidence, he can really help carry this team back to the lead that they were at previously.
And I think they were on to something with that little 2-man game they tried to run prior to the turnover between Justin Villeneuve and Ryan Connolly. Connolly mishandled the pass, but he definitely had some space. If they could run that with different attackmen, maybe Villeneuve and Carter Connors, they could possibly set it up a dodge for Carter.
Honestly, Jackson, I'd just like to see the Rams get the ball around once or twice here, get a little bit of confidence in the sticks. We see Salmini out there. He hasn't been great at handling the ball so far this season. So just getting the ball around, getting the ball on everyone's stick, making everyone comfortable, it would be really big for the Rams.
Carter Connors will zoom to X and give it off to Villeneuve, who feeds it back up to Doster Kroll, and the Rams will spin it around the perimeter with Norton passing it down to Ryan Connolly, who takes it down the alley, and then finds Carter Connors. Carter Connors looks to feed. He gets a switch on the short stick, but they switch back. Maybe too late, and a great feed inside there by Connolly. Tried to find Villeneuve, but he could not finish it. Missed the cage.
And that was a really well set up play by the Rams. We saw Cooper Mueller kind of pushing out more, trying to get contact on Connors, and then having Gallagher switch back to him. And they were really able to take advantage of that and get a shot.
And we just saw the Matt Salmini down the alley shot. Didn't put that one in the goal, but and an interesting sequence there. It looked like there was a flag called on
Gallagher.
Radnor, Gallagher?
Yeah, I believe it was Gallagher there. When a player is setting a screen, you cannot run through it and extend your arms, and he really tried to shove through. I believe it was Conley there. It might be a little bit of frustration from the way Carter Connors has been dominating him thus far today.
And that will be a 1-minute penalty against him. Rams will get to bring their man-up defense again. Last time they promptly turned it over on a saved shot by Doster Kroll, so love to see them really get into their offense here and work for a good shot.
And you can see they kind of buried Doster Kroll in the crease here. Maybe this might be a little bit of a punishment for him shooting for 20 yards out on the last man down.
Norton on the top of the box feeds it down. The Rams will spin it around the perimeter. Kroll pops out for Connolly. Rams looking to set up some skips, and a great job by Connolly. Usually you don't dodge like that on man down, but when you have an opportunity like that, you take it, and a great shot by him. That's his second goal of the day.
And honestly, Jackson, I'm really confused with what the Radnor defense was doing there. Typically, when you're man down, you try and stay sloughed in. You don't really push out. And you saw the way they pushed out. It really opened up a seam for Conley to take, and he took advantage of it. He saw that they were pushing out so far. He knew he could dodge down the middle, and he did it, and you can see it resulted in a goal.
That was a great job by Connolly. You saw the Rams' ball movement, the pace of their ball movement, rather, really pick up, and it forced the Radnor defense to rotate, at which point Connolly caught it coming around from Max and got a great opportunity. And now it's John Tatara who wins the face-off and gets pushed again.
You have to believe Coach Buzzio's really happy with his Fogos today. They're missing Barrett Schmitz because of an injury, and he's typically a ground ball guy, but they've still been able to win a majority of these ground balls, majority of these face-offs, and been able to control possession.
And Carter Connors feeds the ball up to Kroll. Kettner and Cognetto with the ball at the top of the box. Cognetto will go down the alley and rip a lefty shot that bounces wide of the net.
And I'd be happy with Cognetta taking that shot there. He's ran through a lot of guys today. He was able to shoot wide. They had guys behind to get the possession. It's definitely just good to keep the goalie on his toes there.
Now Carter Connors gets a pick from Cognetta, but still draws the double. He's got to look to move it here. Villeneuve and Kroll. Kroll tries to Split dodge. Gets past his defender, but draws another. And looks like the ball was deflected. It'll stay with the Rams. I'd like to see Kroll try to move the ball there, Chad. He drew the double. Usually if a player can make a quick pass after drawing the double, they can create some opportunities.
Yeah, definitely, Jackson. I mean, look, Doster Kroll tried to pass the ball off there. We saw it just get deflected. It's kind of hard when you're in a tight space like that to be able to make a pass, and they were somewhat able to, and at least it didn't result in a turnover.
And a great feed inside by Carter Connors to Justin Villeneuve, but his shot is saved. And now Radnor will take it the other way on the fast break opportunity. Great shot there off the feed from Goldstein, buried in the back of the net, and nothing Busby could do about that one if Radnor's going to tie it up.
Yeah, and I believe that was Montrello there. He's been running around. He's kind of been doing figure eights on the crease, just looking to get that feed at some point, and it finally paid off for him. He's definitely been moving a lot off ball. He doesn't really appear to be a massive danger as a Dodger, but still being able to put up a goal, tying up the game, that's really huge for Radnor.
And you got to go back to that opportunity Villeneuve had, one-on-one with the goalie at the crease. He's got to finish those next time. Wheatfeld will win the clamp, but the ground ball, either team's ball. Norton's going to fight for it. He'll take the man and the ball. And a great ground ball by Michael Norton. Will now possibly try to run it. No, he gets a touch and he'll slow it down. He's guarded by Muller.
Yeah, I got to say, I'm really shocked by how aggressive Cooper Muller was able to play against Norton there. Norton's a really fast guy, and typically from a short stick defensive midi, you don't really see a lot of guys being able to push out on a guy as fast as Norton. But he was really able to do it there, and that was really impressive.
Now Carter Connors takes the ball at the top of the box. He's joined by the two junior middies, Matt Salmini and Walker Blair. Now Connolly with the ball, low side of the box. He's been dangerous today. Now Carter Connors has room. He feeds it back to Connolly, who rips around the cage, and what a shot by Ryan Connolly. Top left corner, filthy.
And that's Ryan Conley there. We saw it was all set up, though, by Carter Connors. Once again, this duo this season has been really good. This duo has been able to pass to each other, always looking for each other, and it's always worked out. We saw Carter Connors was able to make Gallagher miss there, and then just being able to dish it off to Conley. Conley was able to put a nice move on whatever defender came out to guard him, and it was just an easy goal for him.
And that is a hat trick for Ryan Connolly. Him and Carter Connors, both with a hat trick. Who would have thought, Chad? The two players we called players to watch and rolled their highlights, both have hat tricks.
Jackson, we must be geniuses, man.
I think so. And now Tataro looks like he won the clamp. Rolled it to himself, picks up the ground ball, and gets it off to Norton. The Rams will take another possession. Up one, clock winding down to 4 minutes left to go. Now Norton, he has speed, guarded by a larger defender.
And we hear Coach Buzzio yelling, value the ball. He's probably hoping for his team, hold on the ball a little bit here, make sure they get a quality shot, and not to throw any 15, 20-yard shots out of nowhere, which we've seen from the Rams today.
Certainly, and Carter Connors, who was guarded by short stick Muller, allows Muller to switch off when he passes it off to Kroll. But New Canaan's just going to move the ball around. Clock on their side, up one. Clock under 4 minutes, but nearly turning it over and turning it over. Unfortunate. It's going the other way. The Raptors on a fast break opportunity. Good recovery there from Dylan Stevens, but Radnor's going to slow it down. Goldstein will control the ball as he allows for some subs to come in.
Yeah, Jackson, you have to believe the Rams are very happy with the way Dylan Stevens was able to cut off the break there. He was able to split between Goldstein there on the player carrying the ball. He was really, really impactful in being able to stop that break.
Now Getner has Luchesi dodging on him. And good recovery there from Damasco, but a goal from Goldstein, who picked it up on the feet, came around for Max. The game up at 8.
Yeah, Goldstein's had a really good game today, Jackson. He's had a couple turnovers. He went cold there for a little bit. But look, he is a Cornell commit. He's a very good player, and it really showed through there. He showed a lot of poise, and he was able to just put the ball low against Busby. Busby's been struggling a little bit on the lower side today. Up high, he's been very good, but when they're shooting low, bouncing it at his feet, it's definitely been a little bit harder for him to save the ball.
And now every possession matters. 2 minutes 51 to go. Tie game. Cam Wheatfeld will face off for the Rams. He's had some success as of lately, and he wins that one and sets up a break for the Rams. And a bad pass again intended for Doster Kroll. That's the second time Wheatfeld's done that, Chad.
Yeah, and look, Wheatfeld's been able to win the face-offs today. He's been doing a great job of that. I'd almost like to see him go to the goal because, look, some of these passes, they've been really bad. But if you can get some of these, the way the ball is coming out of his stick, it can be really hard for a goalie to judge where the ball is coming from. When a ball is just kind of weirdly coming out, maybe it's going lower than he wants it to go, maybe it's going higher. It almost changes playing for you.
And a timeout will be taken there. You got to think if Radnor's able to convert with this possession and score, that turnover for Cam, we'll come back to that one and think it was very costly. Just can't be giving up possessions like that in this time of the game, especially when you win the face-off.
Yeah, for sure, Jackson. But look, Cameron Wheatfeld, he's a very good player. We saw him on the ice. He was able to lay a lot of big hits. He's been able to do a lot for this Rams team. He's definitely a very good athlete. And, I mean, when you can win faceoffs, that's what a Fogo's on the field to do. Anything after that is a little bit extra, but they have to be able to maintain possession.
Definitely. And I'd also like to see Kroll maybe cut towards Wheatfeld to make the pass easier for him. Got to help out the Fogos out there. Attackmen need to know that Fogos don't often have the best passing abilities.
Yeah, for sure. I would like to see Doster Kroll maybe cut a little bit closer to him, lessen that pass a little bit, but I can understand what he was trying to do by spacing out the defense.
But Radnor will have a settled possession, and as we've seen all game long, they have struggled in those. Last time they were able to score with the Goldstein feed. Goldstein came around from X, but New Canaan's defense has looked great. A lot of good help defense and communication. We've seen Damasco coming off the crease often to provide help to his short stick middies.
Yeah, you just have to make sure that communication stays up. A lot of times, a lot of nerves get in at the end of the game here, and a lot of people forget to talk through everything that's going on. If the Rams can keep their communication at the level it's been at all day, they'll be able to stop another set possession like they have.
And Busby has played great today, Chad. Let in some difficult shots, but at the same time, he's pretty much been a brick wall for a lot of this game. Shessie will get a touch. He's guarded by Dylan Murray. Now Brown. Guarded by Cognetta. He'll pass it to Luchesi. Luchesi is going to set up a dodge here. It's guarded by Norton. Take it down the right alley and throw a bad pass intended for the other Luchesi. Now Dylan Murray will step up with a great hit. Luchesi will try to take Murray into space, but Murray's a very quick defender. A bad pass there from Luchesi, and that is costly for the Raptors as Holden Busby will scoop it up and the Rams will clear the ball with 1.5 minutes left and a chance to take the lead here.
And we saw two pretty bad passes there by, I believe it was both Luchesi's on that possession. You have to believe they're pretty disappointed with the way they were able to throw the ball there.
And a one-man clear from Vin Cognetta, who runs it coast to coast, but then gets doubled, and the ball is stripped from him. And Just something you do not want to see if you're the Rams. Cognetta took it coast to coast. Got a touch. No one was there to help him on a pass. Got to have more awareness if you're this New Canaan attack line.
And you got to give credit to Radnor there. That was a really well-executed double team. They waited for Cognetta to turn his back, and then the pole was able to come over, adjust, and get to him. Sometimes, I mean, it's easier to put it on the middies, but sometimes the defense of the other team just makes a really great play.
And now Radnor will be able to talk it over with their team. A minute to go in this one. They have a chance to take the lead. If you're New Canaan, you want to prevent any easy shots, try to force a turnover if possible, but at the same time, you need to minimize your aggression as to not let in an easy goal.
Yeah, you have to believe the Rams are going to rely on the combined vocal abilities of Holden Busby and Nick Garcia here. They're the two guys on defense. They're really in charge of the communication. When you get into late stages like this, a lot of teams have set design plays, and the only way to get through a set design play as a defense is really to talk through it, and I really expect those guys to be able to do that.
And Chad, when you were a part of this defensive unit, how did you guys strategize to find the right balance between aggression and kind of playing conservative in these type of moments?
So typically we would go with a more aggressive look because, I mean, look, if you can – everyone's nerves are high at a moment like this. You have the offense. They're concerned. It's a tie game. There's a minute left. They have the ball. They're as worried as you are as a defense. So if you can add pressure to them, that only increases their odds of making a mistake.
The defensive unit for New Canaan out there comprises of the two D middies, Griffin Gettner and Michael Norton. Cognetta will take a breather following his one-man clear that ultimately resulted in a turnover. Radnor is going to move the ball at the top of the box. Brandon Lucchesi setting it up. Now Lucchesi in space, guarded by Dylan Murray. Won't look to dodge. Will pass it to the other Lucchesi, who will be considering a dodge on Griffin Gettner as the clock winds under 30 seconds to go. Tomasco on the crease, ready to slide. Radnor moving it up top. Lucchesi's guarded by Gettner. He wants to go. Goes right. Rolls back. The help comes from Tomasco. Under 10 seconds to go. Brown rips the shot, and it's saved by Busby. And this game will be a tie game going to the end of regulation. What a save by Holden Busby.
Yeah, Jackson. And look, they've been going low all day against him. That's where their success has been. And you almost have to believe Busby was ready for it there. You could see him positioning his body, ready for the low shot, and he was finally able to make a really great save on a low shot. He's been great high to high today, but being able to make that low down save is really effective for their team. And now there's going to be rolling into overtime. Typically an overtime game, it's sudden death. Typically it's a 4-minute period and then sudden death. So then whatever team scores first typically wins the game. But guess we'll have a coin toss here.
Guess we will. Looks like the officials will go over the overtime rules with the two captains on this team.
And you have to believe the Rams will be at an advantage here. If they have a face-off, which I'm pretty sure they will, the face-off guys with the Rams, Totoro and Wheatfeld, have both been really good today. If they can just get the possession, not throw the ball away, the Rams team could set up a really good offensive set. Maybe Carter Connors, maybe Conley. Both of them have been really good today and could be really effective in helping this Rams team win.
Certainly, Chad, and Coach Blasio is going to talk it over with his team. This is a great game we've had today, 8-8. Much more exciting and close than we might have expected. Great performances for both teams.
Yeah, Jackson. I mean, look, you have a state championship team from Pennsylvania, and you have one of the top teams in Connecticut here with the New Canaan Rams. It really shows just the way lacrosse is spread out over the country. Being able to get to Pennsylvania, I know it's spreading out more. There are a lot of great club teams in the area where Radnor comes from, and it's it's definitely been a great game to watch.
Certainly. The Rams are going to play their first overtime game of the season. And it's Totaro out there to take this very crucial face-off for the Rams. The next goal scored in this game will determine our winner. As the Rams look to avoid falling to 2-2 on the season. Cognetta taking the midi run with Dylan Murray, the LSM, for the Rams. Wheatfeld, or Tataro rather, wins the faceoff. And a timeout is going to be called by Coach Buzzio. The Fogos for the Rams haven't handled the ball great today, but he'll get a settled possession, get his starters out there, and set up an offensive.
Yeah, that was a crucial win by Totoro there. They went with a double pull look for Radnor. That's typically you're trying to keep the ball on the ground. You know the Fogos aren't as great at handling the ball, but being able to get to the possession there, being smart enough to call the timeout, really helps maintain possession, and that's definitely what the Rams were looking for.
And it'll be interesting to see who steps up for the Rams in this big moment. We've seen Connolly and Carter Connors account for 6 of the Rams' 8 goals so far, but Kroll is obviously always a weapon. He hasn't shot the ball great today, but that can always turn around for him.
I think it all depends on the matchup here, Jackson. We've seen short sticks guard Villeneuve. He struggled a little bit today. But if they can get the ball to him, maybe set up some screens, get a switch, get a short stick on one of their better players, maybe Carter Connors, maybe Kroll, maybe even Conley, that would be really effective for them.
And you can tell the Rams are energized. Their whole sideline got very excited following that Tataro face-off win. And they'll come out on the field ready to play right now. The ball will start around midfield with Carter Connors. He'll be guarded by Gallagher. Carter Connors will take it right to the box and get a touch before taking it to X, where he and Connolly will operate. Carter Connors drops his defender, snipes it, and it hits the post.
And look, Cooper Mueller has been a really good defensive midi today for this Radnor team. But look, Carter Connors, he's been able to put great moves on everyone, and now we see Conley with the ball.
Now Connolly will feed it up to Norton. The Rams are going to spin the ball around here, trying to set something up. Cognata gives it back to Norton. He's got a short stick on him. Norton never afraid to dodge. He'll take it around the alley. Cut back inside, bounce the ball, and misses the net. And he was called in the crease, I believe.
Yeah, when you're moving as fast as Michael Norton it was there, he was taking the ball to the net. It's really hard to avoid getting into the crease, and it looks like he just narrowly stepped in there.
And now the Rams are going to have to ride here. Gallagher with the ball, guarded by Connolly on the ride. He'll split to his left, throw a bad pass, and it goes out of bounds. And Michael Norton will pick up the possession for the Rams.
And that was a veteran move there by Michael Norton. We saw him miss the ground ball. A lot of times players will panic in that situation, but he chose just to box out the defender, and luckily enough, his stick did not touch the ball when he missed the ground ball.
A great pass by Holden Busby on the clear to give it up to Carter Connors, and the Rams will have another possession. Connors, who already dropped Gallagher once, goes around and shoots a backhand shot. And it's chased down by Savadov to give Radnor a possession.
And it looks like the Rams weren't ready for Carter Connors to shoot that shot. We saw Doster Kroll raising his hand at him, a little disappointed that they didn't set up the offense. But look, Carter Connors, he's been able to get off great shots today. You have to wonder if he was maybe just a little overconfident there.
And an interesting shot selection from him, but he has 3 goals today. Definitely has the green light no matter what. And Muller will take the ball the far side of the box, guarded by Finnegan, who's going to run the short stick defense reps in this final 2 minutes of overtime.
And Finnegan's a little overextended here. You don't want to see him playing out in the corner there. It's a lot easier for the offensive player to be able to make a move and set things up.
And great recovery there from Dylan Murray, guarding Montrella, who looked like he might have had a lane there. Now Goldstein is dropped by Dylan Stevens. Dylan Stevens all in his hands, giving him no space, and a timeout will be called by Radnor.
You have to believe Radnor's going to be setting up a play here for Goldstein. He's been their best player today, but look, it's slippery field. He's a guy that likes to make a lot of cuts, and we've already seen him slip a lot on this side of the field. I wouldn't be surprised if they might set up maybe a more north to south dodge for maybe a Lucchesi.
And Radnor will control the ball now. 2 opportunities there for the Rams. They got 2 shots off, both of them Carter Connors. Definitely not the result they wanted. We're looking to stick one of those. That first one went off the pipe, and the second one was backhanded.
Yeah, but they can't be too disappointed with that. They're getting somewhat decent looks. I mean, the backhand shot by Carter Connors, it can be a really flashy play, but not the highest percentage shot. But with the way he's been playing today, I think they're okay with putting in a shot like that.
And Cognetto will join the defensive unit along with Norton again, the 2 seniors. If the Rams do force a turnover, having Cognetta and Norton out there is very helpful for them. Both players can clear the ball on their own.
Yeah, definitely, Jackson. And just the senior presence they have there. These are guys that know how to play. They've been on this team for more than a couple of years, and it's definitely a group that Coach Buzzio has a lot of confidence in.
And Radnor will start with the ball on the close side of the box. It's going to be Brown. Brown passes it up to Lucchesi, who's guarded by Dylan Murray. And Murray gets beat. And there is no trip called. The ball is on the ground, but Nick Garcia mishandled it. And now Goldstein throws a wild pass, looking like it's going to go over, and it's saved from the over and back. And then goes out of bounds, and it'll be New Canaan ball. Wild sequence of events.
You have to believe the Radnor parents are a little bit disappointed there. It looked like maybe a hold there on Dylan Murray, maybe a hit to the head on Goldstein when he went to throw that pass. But then we just seen a blown ground ball right here on the sideline. There wasn't a penalty call. Maybe it had number 4 a little frazzled there. But he has to be able to pick up that ball, and he just failed to do so.
Brown had an easy ground ball. There was no one there yet, but Cognetta ran over, and Brown was just unable to scoop it up and just pushed it out of bounds right off his stick. And now Carter Connors will control it at X for the Rams. Dangerous pass to Kroll, who got slashed in the helmet, but refs have just letting the teams play. Kroll takes it and bounces it, missing the goal, and Connolly will sprint for it. And it looks like he won that race. With 28.5 seconds left to go, the Rams will have possession in the stick of Ryan Connolly.
I mean, we've commented a lot on Connolly today. He's had a really great game, a hat trick, but that hustle play there might be his play of the game.
Giving his team a much-needed possession. Clock winding under 20 seconds to go. Villeneuve gives it up to Norton. Norton has a short stick on him, guarded by Lucchesi. He's got to go now. 10 seconds to go. Norton will roll inside, lose the ball, and he turns it over. And the clock is most likely going to run out on Radnor here. 4 seconds is not enough time to run the ball up the field and get a shot. Shot is absolutely fired across the field and prevented by Busby from going in. And that will conclude our first overtime period.
And it looks like we're going to go into a second OT here. I mean, look, the Rams really appeared to have dominated that period there. I mean, 4 minutes, you hope that they would be able to put the ball in the net. But they were unable to. They got some good looks, but then just none of them were able to go in, Jackson. And that's something you need to be able to do. If you get these looks, you have to be able to put the ball in the net. Carter Connors was definitely the most effective player that period. He got 2 pretty solid shots off. They definitely threatened the goalie. But, yeah, you just have to be able to carry the ball. We saw a couple turnovers there from the Rams, just throwing the ball away. And that can't continue in the second overtime period.
Definitely, and I'd really like to see some more awareness from the Rams at the end of that overtime. The last 30 seconds, they had the ball. No one seemed to really take initiative and dodge.
I mean, yeah, but also it's good they didn't turn the ball over too early. They were able to at least get a couple possessions there. They didn't give Radnor a possession at the end of the period. They got the final possession, I guess. It's better than nothing, but still, definitely less turnovers would be nice.
And after that 4-minute period with no scoring, We will start another 4-minute overtime, and you got to think this face-off is going to be very important. Cam Weefelt, who's really done a great job winning the face-offs, but has struggled to maintain possession afterwards, will go out there again. Rams and Radnor have flipped sides now. Dylan Murray out there for the Rams running the LSM reps. And Wheatfeld and Brown will fight for it. Wheatfeld initially won the ground ball but lost it. And now Gallagher scoops it up, and Radnor will call a timeout to get some subs out there.
Yeah, and that was a really smart play by Radnor there. They know Gallagher. He's one of their best players. They can trust him to pick up a ground ball, and we really saw it pay off there. He was a really effective play. They went with 2 long sticks on the previous face-off. On this one, though, they went with 1 long stick. They really trusted Gallagher, and it seemed to work.
And Coach Buzzio is going to talk it over with his defense, which has performed very well in this overtime. Chad, again, this is a similar situation to when we had a tie game at the minute left in regulation. How do you think they're going to balance their aggression again? Do you think they stay aggressive as a unit?
Yeah, I mean, we saw a north to south dodge there on the Radnor possession last OT, and it really seemed to work. It looked like there was a hold, maybe a questionable call. It really seems like the refs don't want to get involved at the end of this game. I wouldn't be surprised if they go north to south again. It really helps set up players like Gallagher behind if they pass down, maybe loop back around, score a goal. But, yeah, I don't really know exactly what they're going to do, Jackson, but I would expect maybe a Luceshi dodge.
Definitely like the way that these officials have run this game today. They've avoided calling pretty much everything on both teams, just playing it both ways, letting the players play. Ball will start on the close side of the field. As Radnor will send their offensive unit out on the field with 3 minutes and 50 seconds to go in this second overtime. Luchesi will take it. He's guarded by Norton. Luchesi running to get a touch, and he'll take it behind the cage.
And this is a look we haven't seen a lot from Radnor so far today. This is a little bit of an invert look, looking to dodge on Norton.
Luchesi tried to take Norton right around the cage, but was unable to, and now it's Goldstein. Guarded by Dylan Stevens. Goldstein feeds it up to Luchesi, who rips it top right. And that'll do it in double overtime, as Radnor will win this one 9-8.
Yeah, that's definitely a disappointing one for the Rams. They had played good defense so far. There was just a slide that came a little too quick there, maybe not needed. You have Dylan Stevens, who had played pretty good defense today. It was just a little too early of a slide. You got to believe the Rams are really disappointed.
And Radnor, definitely happy about that one. Made the trip all the way here. Pays off with a narrow double overtime win over this Rams team. But New Canaan's definitely got to bounce back. They have some upcoming games against Bronxville, which is going to be a big game that we stream on Thursday. That's on the 14th. Home game for New Canaan. And then they will head to Darien for the big rivalry game, which is definitely going to be an interesting matchup for them this year.
Yeah, it's definitely pivotal, though, for the Rams to bounce back this week. When you lose a close game like this, it's really easy to get down on yourselves. But look, there were some really good players out there today. Conley and Carter Connors, we talked about them early. We talk about them now. Both hat tricks from both of them. They had a couple of turnovers here and there, but they did what they should have been able to do to win the game. They just have to be able to possess the ball a little bit better in those later periods of the game.
And that's going to be it for our broadcast today. Just want to say a few thank yous to our camera operators and producer, as well as a thank you to our sponsors.
Yes, let's roll into the sponsors here. We'll start it off with our platinum sponsors here, Walter Stewart's. I can never say enough about Walter Stewart's. I know everyone knows how much I love Walter Stewart's. Always great for their fresh produce. I went and got a nice mango a nice mango Arizona iced tea that helped me stay hydrated this entire game. The Rambuya and Harold Real Estates, really great people, always super helpful, super thankful to have them as a sponsor. And Carl Chevrolet, as I like to call it, the automotive jewel of New Canaan. Truly a great place to buy a vehicle. They have some great cars on the lot. If you're looking to get a nice American-made Chevy, then go to Carl Chevrolet. All right, now we're going to roll into our gold. Oh, we're going to roll into William J. Fessler Dentistry here, not onto our gold sponsors. William J. Fessler Dentistry, always a great guy to go see. You never have to feel awkward sitting in his chair. He's a great guy to talk to. Always enjoy seeing William J. Fessler. And our gold sponsors here, Renaissance Partners LLC. It's a great company. They've really helped build up this town. I always look forward to seeing Renaissance Partners building in our community. And Performance Optimal Health, a great physical therapy company. They really help train people. If you really want to get healthy, go to Performance Optimal Health. They'll help you get right. Thank you to all of our sponsors and for all your support. And make sure to tune into our next live stream. It'll be Thursday. It's the Bronxville boys against New Canaan boys lacrosse team. It'll be here. It'll be a great game. This New Canaan team likes to play people tight, and I can't wait to see how they bounce back from this game. Thank you, and we'll see you next game.